in Utah and Sacramento with these notable rookies starting their pro careers. 29 points for Jaren Jackson Jr. That's how you get a career started. Marvin Bagley had a vicious dunk included in his 6 for 11 18-point night. Trae Young got him up for the Hawks on his way to 16 points, 20 field goal attempts. Likewise, Utah's Grayson Allen didn't shoot well, though he did have 8 boards and 7 assists. Always good to have Hall of Famers stop by the program, particularly when they get to come and say, told you so. Last month in an interview, Gary Payton said LeBron was Lakers-bound, telling the world that his son was already committed to LA's Sierra Canyon School. So as we welcome the Hall of Famer Gary Payton to the program, GP, did anything about the LeBron announcement or contract surprise you?
Well, no, not about going to L.A. You know, we all had a pretty good idea that that's where he wanted to go. You know, his family always said that that they wanted to be in the sun, and he always had told him that his family is a big part of what he's going to do because they always been listening to him, and now he's going to listen to them. So we really, really thought about that. You know, the contract is that he's done. You know, he don't want to move anymore. This is his last stop. He just showed it. You know, he showed it by signing a long-term deal and giving L.A. a chance to put some people around him. So he's just showing that, you know, this is his last stop.
Yeah, and the long-term part is interesting as well. He signed with L.A. without the guarantee of another superstar on the roster, at least this upcoming season. How good are the Lakers right now?
Well, you know, they're going to contend. You know, once you get him, people got to understand, they had won 27 games a year ago, and then this year they were 8+. So putting him on the team, you can go from 35 to 45 to 47 almost. You give him 12 more wins and be in the playoffs in the West. They're putting pieces together. You know, they did a good job of getting Rondo with a guard that can help Alonzo Ball, Lance Stevenson who can guard somebody, JaVale McGee who can block shots and do things. Now he has to just have some players that's going to score with him and he can rely on. You know, and he doesn't have to do so much work. I don't know if they're a championship team. I don't think that's the case. I think they're a playoff team.
And, Gary, with that being said, what advice would you give LeBron, knowing that Cleveland's a small market from a media standpoint? Obviously, Miami has its market. But now you're going to L.A. They're expecting championships. What advice do you give him, knowing that you were the big man in Seattle going to L.A. with Shaq and all those things, but he's still the king of the hill? What advice to kind of get the Lakers back to championship?
All I can do is just tell him to be himself. He has to go in there with the same mentality that he's been doing for the last, 8 years that he went to the finals for 8 years straight. He has to go in there and make everybody else better. I think if he makes everybody else better, you got to think about it. You're going to came to a Western Conference that's loaded. The Golden State and the Houston. They're going to be good, you know, so you're going to have to try to dethrone them, but you got to get players. This first year, you got to make them understand we're going to get better. We're going to be a 10+ more team, win 40, 45, 46 games, and then you're showing the light. The next year, you're going to have to be in contention of winning the championship. His mindset has to be, I'm going to get this team to be the best team it can be. You give me the right players, we're going to win basketball games, and we're going to contend for a championship.
Gary, let's move over to the defending champs now, Golden State. What was your thought when they were able to go out and acquire DeMarcus Cousins? And when he gets healthy, what do you feel like he brings to the table?
Well, a great basketball player. We didn't think that he was going to be in this situation. You know, just taking a mid-level exception, and then all of a sudden now going with the Golden State Warriors. If he comes back right, he would have to adjust his game. You know, DeMarcus likes to hold the ball at the top, shoot threes, and get to the bucket and spin and do things. But he got a lot of players around him now. He doesn't have to do that. I think he would have to get in on the block, face up guys, and you know, be that man. You know, that's the only thing Golden State missed was a big man. Now they got a true big man at 25 and 12 or 13 that can go. If he comes back from his Achilles injury and be the player that they want him to be and adjust his game and get down low and run with them, they're going to be an unstoppable basketball team.
GP, before we let you go, obviously Kawhi Leonard is still out there. If you're any team in the league, willing to take the risk to go after him, even if it's only for 1 year, which team to do it?
Well, you would have to say either the Lakers or Philadelphia. Philadelphia will be a good team because you can take the risk. They'll still be good, and then you got to make sure that you can influence him to come back. This is a good team. We can win the East all the time. We can beat a lot of people. Then we can contend with the West, whoever in the West, if you be that player. And he has to bite into it. He has to be just almost like Paul George did. You know, Oklahoma didn't think that they can keep him, but he got with Westbrook. Westbrook convinced him, and he stayed. I think the Lakers are the same thing. You put him with LeBron and a couple of more pieces, and he's at home, he's going to do that. But, you know, San Antonio has to get the right players for him. And if the Lakers want to make that move and they want to keep him, they don't have any problems because he wants to be there. So that's the team that, you know, has to make the sacrifice and say, are we going to give some of these young players away and some draft picks, and then think about, are we going to win a championship in year one or year two? And they got to make that decision.
That's the Basketball Hall of Famer and free agent prophet, Gary Payton. GP, good to talk to you as always. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
More coming up. Kawhi Leonard remains a Spurs, still under contract for 2018-19, and that's kind of all there is to report, but we'll talk about him anyway. Next.
What I call negative energy. He's a vampire of energy a little bit. You know, he mopes, he has bad body language, he sometimes doesn't run back on defense, he yells at the referees too much. You know, and he has some personality, what I call negative energy. But in the same sense, championship teams know how to handle that. And I think as I said, I think it's a magnificent move by the Warriors. There could be a problem with 5 All-Stars on the team wanting the ball. But it seems like they do a great job of when it's Durant's game, they let him go. When it's Curry's game, they let him go. When Thompson's making shots, they let him go. I don't see it being a major problem. I just think they made a little bit more step away from everybody else. The gap got bigger between them and everybody else.
It's a good problem to have, that's for sure. George Karl, who coached DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento, with his thoughts on the deal that sends him to Golden State. A less enviable problem in San Antonio, where the Spurs have yet to figure out exactly what to do with Kawhi Leonard. Superstar talent, best two-way player in the league, doesn't want to be there, and is coming off a season in which he played just 9 games because of that pesky quadriceps injury. So there are a bunch of teams out there who have the option now of deciding to load up whatever they have in terms of assets to try to make a deal for Kawhi Leonard. Boston could be one of those teams. They certainly have the assets to do it. The question is, do you veer from the course you're on with all this great young talent in Boston, a team that came so close to the finals as it was, or do you use some of those assets to go after this superstar guy?
I think if you feel like you can re-sign him, I think you make a deal. And listen, what they did last year was incredible, absent Gordon Hayward, absent obviously having Kyrie down the stretch as well. And we all know how special a talent Jason Tatum is, and Jaylen Brown has proven to be a guy in his second year to make tremendous strides. But I think Kawhi Leonard is not just about you trying to secure your place in the East, but you also have to look at the competition. I think that gives them the best opportunity to dethrone a Golden State, to possibly beat a Houston team that's you would expect could continue to play at a high level. A Laker team now with LeBron that's going to continue to try to revamp, and it would allow you to keep Kawhi maybe from going somewhere else that could ultimately decide whether or not you win a championship.
Right.
So while you love that young talent, listen, they're still not at the level of Kawhi Leonard, and there's no guarantee that they get to his level. You're talking about a guy who was in the conversation as one of the 3 best players in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's something, if you're Danny Ainge, you have to look long and hard at. As much as you love your young talent, that Eastern Conference, like everyone thinks now that East is all about Boston, Philly's going to make moves to continue to improve. All these other teams that we're not talking about, Washington, Toronto, those teams are still going to be forces in that conference. It's no foregone conclusion while we all expect Boston to be there. They're coming in with a different mindset now. They're going to be expected to be the team. It's a little bit different when you have those high expectations on a young team.
Which would give you more pause? You're thinking about, trading away all these assets, be it draft picks or these young players. The quadriceps injury, which is no small thing,
right.
He's had it on both sides, 9 games last season, or the contract status where he can walk away for nothing next summer.
The contract status is first, and if I'm Danny Ainge, can I have that conversation I need to have before I make that decision, knowing that you don't want to talk to Pop. So that's what has my biggest concern, where when Carmelo wanted to leave Denver, he made it very clear, I'm going to be professional, I don't want to be in Denver. Kyrie, behind closed doors, talked to Cleveland, hey, I would like to be moved. Hey, Kawhi, can you please, Paul George, can you please tell me something? So now I'm being personal, I'm tired of hearing my camp this, my camp that. If Kawhi Leonard would have come out and just say, guess what, Pop, I want to be traded to the Lakers. And that's what I want to do. I'll stay professional. I'll work hard. I'm in shape, my legs together. Now, if I'm Danny Ainge, hey, Kawhi, if you really want to leave, can you have a conversation with me first? This is how good Boston is. This is what I built. This is what I did for KG.
Right.
Now, I can sell Boston on you, but if I cannot talk to you, how can I make that move? That's a bigger concern to me. There's no communication there.
Well, for the moment, Boston has not made that deal. Neither has Philadelphia. So I'll ask you guys to look at the Eastern Conference right now, minus LeBron James for the first time in his career. And here's your power poll as things stand. You both have the Celtics on top.
Yep. I think the only thing we differ is just pretty much the order.
Yeah.
Same teams.
Yeah, pretty much the same team. The order can change, who does what, and which other big guys. But, yeah, unless they make – if nobody makes any move, I think Boston still come out east.
I think on paper, you know what, though? Let's not sleep on a Toronto team that, with their young talent, could be better next year. Now,
No LeBron, right? No LeBron.
No
LeBron in their way.
They basically won 60 games.
That's right. That's right.
So
yeah.
I don't think I'm just going to anoint Boston just yet. And again, remember, Boston had home court, and as much as we raved about the talent of Jason Tatum, that young group was not a good road team in the postseason.
Right.
Nope.
They won, I think, 1 road game this past postseason. That's not a championship caliber team. Like, you can't win it all if you can't win on the road in the postseason. And so that's another reason. And Danny Ainge's a smart guy. That entire brain trust there, they know that. Yeah, they should improve in year 2 or in the next year. But if you got Kawhi right, if he's mentally and physically ready, it'd be hard if you could put the deal together to not want to go out there. What happens if you're Boston, you hold Pant, and he ends up in Philly?
In Philly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Philadelphia team, which is top to bottom as talented as anybody in the conference, but looked really inexperienced in the playoffs, suddenly they're a lot more talened and a lot more experienced as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Wizards here a little bit, who appeared on both of your boards there. They got better today. Added depth to their roster with Jeff Green agreeing to a minimum $2.4 million deal to come aboard in Washington. Pretty good for the Cavaliers, mostly coming off the bench. Did start some, like everybody did, over the course of the season. And he was huge in that Game 7 on the road in Boston when he had 19 points. And they weren't done there because just reported by Jared Weiss, Dwight Howard, who remember was traded by Charlotte to Brooklyn, bought out by the Nets, is headed to the Washington Wizards, who remember traded Marcin Gortat this offseason as well. Dwight Howard is apparently about to become a Washington Wizard.
Well, hopefully very similar. We talked earlier about the Cousins situation, Jay. Maybe this buyout late in his career maybe humbles him a little bit. Now you get around John Wall and Bradley Beal, knowing that now the old Dwight Howard the last couple of years, you won the ball on the block. That's not who you are at this point in your career. And going with that backcourt, you're going to get less shots. But if Dwight Howard comes rebounding, blocking shots, defensive-minded guy, I think he helps that team right away.
You know, they're the team in the Eastern Conference that has quietly made moves to bolster their biggest weakness, which was their bench. Jeff Green if Jeff Green's coming off the bench for them, that really makes this a much better team. Remember Austin Rivers as well. Gives them a legitimate third option offensively. He can play either guard position coming off a career year. And then the thing about Dwight, a lot of times he's at a point in his career where the system matters in terms of his ability to be effective. And he's going to play with an incredible passer, 2 bigs. Because you think about how good Marcin Gortat looked playing with John Wall.
Pick and roll.
And he's a similar they're going to score similarly. I just think even at this stage, Dwight's a little better at it than Gortat was, and a better defender and rim protector. So this could be a big get. That's why I'm saying, like, the East, like Bradley Beal and John Wall, they also look at it like, why not us? You know, we're close as well. And now they've gone out and made some small moves, but they could have a huge impact on the overall roster.
You know, for all the discussion about Wall and Beal and their relationship and their chemistry and whatnot, depth has been this team's biggest problem over the last few years. Dwight Howard added to the fold, essentially replacing his old Magic teammate, Marcin Gortat, in D.C. On the way, Paul George stayed put in OKC. How that shifts the balance of power in the West.